In the near-future UK, John Thompson was an ordinary man, a cog in the vast machinery of society. He lived in a modest flat in a bustling city, his life intertwined with the hum of technology that promised a brighter tomorrow. With his enthusiasm for the digital age, John embraced the government's new digital ID system, believing it would simplify his life, a single identifier for healthcare, transportation, and banking. The rollout was celebrated as a leap towards progress, a beacon of efficiency in an increasingly chaotic world. Friends and family praised the initiative, and John felt a sense of pride in participating in this collective evolution. Little did he know, this digital convenience was a double-edged sword. As he navigated through his daily routines, from morning commutes to late-night work emails, whispers of concern began to echo around him, hinting at something more sinister beneath the surface. As John closed his eyes each night, he felt the subtle weight of an invisible chain. What are the hidden dangers behind this new system? In the heart of a bustling London, John was among the first to embrace the new digital ID system, heralded as a marvel of modern convenience. At first glance, it offered unprecedented ease of access to services, healthcare, banking, even public transport, each just a fingerprint or facial scan away. The government painted a picture of a streamlined society, where bureaucracy crumbled under the weight of innovation. John, like many, felt an exhilarating sense of empowerment. This digital key unlocked doors that had once been barred by paperwork and endless queues. Public perception shifted swiftly, with citizens rallying around the promise of a brighter, more efficient future. But as John's dependence on this digital ID grew, the initial benefits began to blur, leaving shadows of doubt. What was once a tool for convenience slowly morphed into a tether, binding him to a system that demanded more than it gave. How will this dependency affect John's relationships? In the not-so-distant future, John found himself engrossed in a world that had become increasingly reliant on digital identities. The government had introduced a system seamless, efficient, and alluring. With a simple scan of his wrist, John accessed everything from his bank account to his health records. At first, he reveled in the convenience, no more fumbling for cards or memorizing passwords. But as days turned to weeks, he began to notice subtle shifts in his life. Invitations from friends dwindled, replaced by automated messages urging him to stay within the confines of his digital profile. Every decision, every interaction was now influenced by this omnipresent ID, which seemed to dictate his worth. The more he submitted, the more control he surrendered. Little did he know, this dependency was only the beginning. Will John recognize the danger before it's too late? In the heart of a bustling city, John, an ordinary man, navigates the complexities of a new digital ID system. Initially, the promise of enhanced convenience lured him into compliance, but soon, he began to notice the subtle restrictions creeping into his life. Social interactions dwindled as friends hesitated to meet, their hesitance stemming from a constant fear of surveillance. John's phone buzzed with notifications, reminders of his every movement, each being a stark reminder of his loss of privacy. He felt the weight of the government's watchful eye, scrutinizing his actions, and with each passing day, his freedom slipped further away. What began as a seemingly harmless tool of identification morphed into a mechanism of control, isolating him from the world he once knew. The vibrant conversations and laughter of friends faded into silence, leaving John in a digital prison of loneliness. As he lay awake at night, the haunting question lingered: what will happen when those promises start to unravel? In the heart of a bustling London, amidst the cacophony of daily life, John Parker found himself entangled in a web woven by the government's latest initiative, the digital ID system. Promoted by the Labour Party as a beacon of progress, this system promised streamlined services and enhanced security. Political propaganda flooded the airwaves, with the Prime Minister touting the convenience and safety promised by a singular digital identity. Citizens were reassured, their trust galvanized by the allure of innovation. Skepticism, however, lingered beneath the surface, as whispers of a more sinister agenda permeated the public consciousness. John, like many others, initially embraced the change, blinded by the allure of a brighter future. Little did he know, each promise unspooled the threads of his freedom. As the days turned into weeks, the reality began to set in, and with it, the question loomed ominously: how does John cope with his new reality? As the weeks progressed, John felt the tightening grip of the digital ID system woven into every facet of his existence. At first, it was subtle, a text message reminding him to log his daily activities, a notification that his access to local parks had been revoked due to misaligned values. He began losing small freedoms, each restriction barely noticeable until they piled up like a stack of unseen weights. His workplace adopted the new government protocols without question, enforcing strict compliance with the digital tracking system. Colleagues whispered about the consequences of dissent, and John felt the isolation creep in as friends distanced themselves. The laughter and camaraderie that once filled the break room faded into awkward silence, replaced by a sense of paranoia. Each day felt like a battle between conforming to the new norm and the growing realization that he was slipping into the shadows of a controlled existence. Will John conform or resist this new norm? In the creeping shadows of a society transformed, the concept of wrongthink loomed over John's every thought. The government, under the guise of progress, dictated what was acceptable behavior. Expression became a luxury, as the definition of dissent blurred into a murky abyss of fear. John's unease grew with each passing day. He found himself tiptoeing around conversations, carefully weighing words, and censoring thoughts that once flowed freely. Friends became distant echoes, their laughter replaced by the relentless hum of compliance. The consequences for dissent were severe. A whisper of a contrary opinion could lead to isolation, or worse, a digital mark that branded him unfit. As John scrolled through social media, the curated narratives left him feeling more alienated. He grappled with the realization that comfort and safety came at the cost of his identity. Each day, he yearned for the connections he once cherished, but the oppressive atmosphere left him questioning, can John maintain any connections amidst the chaos? As John's world began to shrink, he felt the palpable distance growing between him and his friends. Conversations that once flowed freely turned into awkward pauses, like a fragile glass teetering on the edge of a table. They started unfollowing him on social media, their online silence a stark reminder of his isolation. Family gatherings, once filled with laughter and warmth, now held a tension that left John anxious and confused. Misunderstandings spiraled into arguments. His loved ones didn't understand his struggle with the digital ID, dismissing his concerns as paranoia. This fracture deepened, leaving him feeling invisible, trapped in a reality where freedom of thought was an affront. John's mental health began to suffer, his mind a battleground of fears and regrets, echoing the mantra of wrongthink. His identity, once vibrant and multifaceted, faded to a monochrome existence, burdened by the weight of others' judgment. What will John do next to survive? John sat in his dimly lit office, staring at the screen that had once been his gateway to success. The digital ID, once a mere convenience, had morphed into a chain that shackled his professional ambitions. One fateful morning, he received the email that would change everything, a notification stating his employment was terminated due to discrepancies in his digital ID status. The word swirled in his mind, echoing the chilling realization that he was now considered a liability. Financial strain descended upon him like a heavy fog, suffocating his spirit. How could he provide for his family when every application was met with the same rejection? With each passing day, he felt the emotional toll deepen, a sense of isolation creeping in as friends distanced themselves, wary of his wrongthink. He was trapped in a world that had forgotten the meaning of freedom. As he faced the cold reality of his new existence, a question lingered in his mind: how will John challenge the oppressive system? John sat alone in his dimly lit apartment, the weight of his digital ID pressing down on him like an anchor. Day by day, he felt the chains of compliance tighten as his once vibrant friendships faded into distant memories. Conversations once filled with laughter and camaraderie dwindled, replaced with the sterile silence of isolation. The digital ID, which he had accepted without question, had morphed into a tool of restriction, dictating not just his movements but his very thoughts. Each time he dared to voice a dissenting opinion, the invisible hand of the government seemed to tighten its grip. Wrongthink, he realized, was not just a buzzword, it was a reality that had crept into every aspect of his life. A moment of clarity struck him like lightning. He had lost everything he cherished to a system that thrived on obedience and fear. With a heavy heart, John made a decision. It was time to confront the system and reclaim his freedom. But what happens when people start questioning the government? As the sun set over a once vibrant London, the digital ID system began to weave its insidious web. The Prime Minister, a charismatic figure from the Labour Party, had promised a new era of transparency and safety. But behind the polished speeches and heartfelt appeals lay a darker reality. The digital ID, presented as a tool for convenience, was merely a device for control. Public sentiment was skillfully manipulated, with promises of security overshadowing the growing restrictions on freedom. Citizens, like John, unwittingly traded their autonomy for a false sense of safety. Each click of acceptance tightened the government's grip, leading to a society where dissent was silenced and individuality extinguished. John's blind trust in the system became his downfall, as he lost touch with reality. The looming question remained, would anyone awaken from this digital slumber to challenge the status quo? Will John's actions lead to change? As whispers of dissent began to echo through the streets, John found himself caught in the whirlwind of unrest. The digital ID, initially accepted without question, had morphed into a symbol of oppression, igniting protests across the nation. The Labour Party's promises of safety turned into a facade, as citizens rallied together, demanding transparency and the right to privacy. Fueled by a sense of betrayal, John stepped into the forefront of the uprising, his heart pounding with both fear and hope. Each protest was a testament to community resilience. Neighbours joined hands, voices raised in unison, echoing the sentiment that they would not be silenced. The clash between the government and the people intensified, revealing the stark reality of control lurking beneath the surface. As the shadows of authority loomed, the question hung in the air: how far will the government go to maintain control? As the digital ID program rolled out, John found himself increasingly scrutinized under the watchful eye of the government. The Prime Minister, once a beacon of hope for many, had morphed into a figure of dread, wielding power over the populace with an iron fist. Surveillance cameras dotted every corner, their lenses capturing even the slightest hint of dissent. Those who dared to voice their concerns faced crackdowns that silenced voices, turning protests into mere whispers of fear. John felt the weight of this oppression, realizing that his once vibrant life was now shackled by an unseen force. Friends began to vanish, families were torn apart, and jobs were lost, all in the name of compliance and safety. The promises that had lured them into this nightmare were nothing but mirages, vanishing into thin air as the reality of lost freedom sank in. Could John uncover a way to reclaim the life he once knew, or was he destined to succumb to this new world order? In the quiet corners of his mind, John often reflected on what freedom had once meant. The sunlit days of unrestrained choices faded into distant memories, overshadowed by the oppressive weight of the new digital ID. Gone were the days of spontaneous laughter with friends, the thrill of unplanned adventures, and the joy of living without surveillance. In this stark reality, every aspect of his life was now monitored and curated by the government, a system disguised as convenience but rooted in control. The Prime Minister, with his charismatic promises, had painted a picture of a utopia that now seemed like a cruel joke. John felt the emotional weight of loss settle heavily on his heart, knowing he had blindly trusted the assurances of a leader who had ultimately betrayed him. As he gazed out at the once vibrant streets, his mind echoed with societal implications of this dystopia. The question loomed large: what decision will John ultimately make? John stood at the precipice of a decision that would alter the course of his life. The digital ID, touted as a gateway to convenience, loomed over him like a spectre. He recalled the Prime Minister's promises of safety and unity, yet the truth tasted bitter. With each passing day, he felt the walls closing in, his freedoms stripped away under the guise of progress. Friends had begun to vanish, their voices silenced by a system that deemed them unfit. It was a slow suffocation, an invisible hand tightening around his throat. Yet, the allure of surrender whispered sweetly in his ear, perhaps if he succumbed to the enforced slumber, he would escape the pain. But was this the path he truly wanted? Would he trade his fight for the fleeting comfort of sleep? As he wrestled with this choice, a chilling thought crept in: what would happen if he woke up? Would there be anything left to reclaim? John found himself increasingly drawn to the allure of sleep, a refuge from the chaos of his waking life. Each night, he surrendered to the embrace of slumber, where the burdens of reality faded into a blissful void. The world outside his window turned into a distant memory, a place filled with obligations and unmet expectations. In sleep, he discovered a temporary relief, a sweet escape that dulled the sharp edges of his problems. As the hours passed in peaceful oblivion, he felt an intoxicating freedom, free from the weight of his digital identity and the constraints imposed by a society that seemed to demand more than he could give. Yet, deep down, an unsettling truth lingered: this sanctuary was merely an illusion. The questions loomed large in his mind: was he truly solving his problems, or merely avoiding them? With each fleeting moment of sleep, John grappled with the haunting realization that his reliance on slumber might just lead him further from the answers he sought. Will this reliance on sleep solve his problems? As the days turned into a blur, John found himself sinking deeper into an abyss of exhaustion. Each morning, he woke to the same oppressive weight, feeling as if the very air around him was thickening, suffocating him under the demands of a world he no longer understood. The digital ID, once a shiny promise of convenience, had morphed into a chain, binding him to a reality where every aspect of his life was dictated by unseen algorithms. Sleep became his only refuge, a sanctuary from the relentless barrage of notifications and expectations. He began to seek out moments of drowsiness like a drug, losing himself in the embrace of unconsciousness. Yet, with each escape, the void in his life grew larger. Friends faded into the background, family phone calls became distant echoes, and his job, once a source of pride, slowly slipped away. In this cycle of dependency, reality was a bitter pill he refused to swallow. As his eyes grew heavy, the thought loomed ominously: how will he reconcile with those he has lost? As John sank deeper into the abyss of his newly imposed digital identity, the world around him began to fade. His once vibrant interactions with family turned into hushed concerns and whispered worries. His mother, eyes heavy with grief, often reached out, leaving messages filled with love and confusion. "John, we miss you," she would write, but the messages felt like echoes in an empty chamber, lost in his ever-increasing need for sleep. Friends who once filled his weekends with laughter now stood at a distance, their calls unanswered, their texts left on read. John isolated himself, choosing the quiet embrace of sleep over the noise of human connection. Each lost conversation weighed heavily on his heart, a stark reminder that he was drifting away from those who cared. The once warm and inviting space of his home transformed into a prison of solitude, where sleep became not just a necessity but an overwhelming desire to escape reality. What steps will John take towards recovery? As John lay in his bed, the oppressive weight of his new digital ID loomed over him like a dark cloud, whispering promises of ease that were slowly turning into chains. Each night, he succumbed to the comforting embrace of sleep, yearning for an escape from the reality that had become unbearable. His friends had drifted away, their voices replaced by the cold hum of technology, and his job felt like a distant memory, swallowed by the shadows of his isolation. Yet, beneath the surface, a flicker of clarity began to emerge. John realized that sleep, while a refuge, was not the answer to his problems. It was merely a distraction, a means of avoidance that kept him from confronting the harsh truths of his existence. A chilling thought crossed his mind: if he continued this way, he might lose everything for good. Understanding the need for action, John pondered the possibilities of guided sleep meditations. Could they lead him to a deeper sense of peace, or would they only serve to prolong his slumber? How will guided sleep meditations help him? John sat in his dimly lit apartment, the weight of the world pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. The digital ID he had accepted so blindly had transformed his existence into a series of suffocating restrictions. Every day was a monotonous cycle of work and compliance, leaving him yearning for an escape, a refuge in sleep. In that state of half-consciousness, he found solace, but it was a fleeting comfort, masking the urgent need for change. As he stared at the flickering screen, a realization struck him: denial was no longer an option. He needed to confront his issues, to seek help instead of hiding behind his eyelids. Opening up to his friends and family felt daunting, yet it was a crucial step towards liberation. John understood he couldn't navigate this dystopian maze alone. His journey towards awareness and transformation was just beginning, and the path ahead involved learning about the techniques that could guide him into peaceful, restorative sleep. What techniques are effective in guided meditations? In a world spiraling into chaos, guided sleep meditations emerge as a sanctuary for the weary mind. These meditative journeys, often led by soothing voices, transport individuals into a realm of calm and tranquility. Unlike ordinary sleep, where the mind is left to wander aimlessly, guided meditations provide a structured experience that nurtures deep relaxation. Research indicates that participants often experience reduced anxiety, improved emotional health, and a clearer mental state after engaging in these practices. They serve not only as an escape from the harsh realities of life but also as a bridge to self-discovery and inner peace. As John navigates his tumultuous existence, he might find solace in these meditative techniques, unearthing a path to resilience amidst the digital chaos. The question lingers, though, which technique will John find most helpful? This anticipation beckons us deeper into his journey. In a world overshadowed by digital constraints, finding peace becomes essential. Guided sleep meditations offer a sanctuary, a path toward inner tranquility. Breathing exercises form the foundation. Inhale deeply, feeling the air fill your lungs, then exhale slowly, releasing the day's burdens. This rhythmic flow not only calms the mind but also stabilizes heart rate and reduces anxiety. Visualizations transport the practitioner to serene landscapes, a tranquil beach, a lush forest, each detail vivid, enhancing the experience. As they picture the gentle waves or rustling leaves, they drift further from the chaos. Mindfulness practices ground them in the present, encouraging awareness of thoughts without judgment. This approach fosters acceptance, allowing emotions to surface and then dissipate like clouds in a clear sky. Such techniques help distinguish meditation from mere escapism. They cultivate a deeper connection to the self. As our protagonist John contemplates these methods, he ponders a vital question: how can John create the perfect space for meditation? In the dim light of his cluttered apartment, John began to realize the importance of creating a calm environment for meditation. Studies indicate that a serene space can significantly enhance the effectiveness of guided sleep meditations. He decided to eliminate distractions, turning off his phone, closing the curtains to block out the harsh streetlights, and even placing a "Do Not Disturb" sign on his door. The world outside was chaotic, but inside, it was time to cultivate peace. John envisioned his personal sanctuary, a place where the weight of digital identity and societal pressure could not penetrate. Soft pillows, soothing scents of lavender, and gentle ambient sounds began to fill his mind with comfort. This transformation was not just physical, it represented a mental shift towards tranquility. As he took his first deep breaths, he felt a sense of liberation from the chains of his everyday life. What changes will John experience with a routine? As John embarked on his journey towards tranquility, he discovered the profound impact of establishing a meditation routine. Consistency and commitment became his allies in this pursuit of peace. Each evening, he dedicated a sacred hour to guided sleep meditations, weaving them seamlessly into his daily life. The ritual transformed mundane moments into sacred practices, where he could escape the chaos of the outside world. Studies reveal that integrating meditation into one's routine not only fosters relaxation but also enhances mental clarity and emotional stability. John found solace in this newfound structure as the benefits of routine began to unfold. He felt his anxiety dissipate, replaced by a sense of calm and control. However, this was not merely an escape, it was a conscious choice to reclaim his mind from the grips of a chaotic existence. As John embraced this transformative experience, the question lingered: how will this experience transform John's perspective on life and the world around him? John sat cross-legged on the floor, his heart racing with a mixture of anxiety and hope. Today marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where he would explore the realm of guided sleep meditations. As the soothing voice of the guide began, he focused on setting his intentions to release the burdens that had weighed him down for far too long. With each breath, he envisioned the worries of his chaotic life fading into the ether. The process of letting go felt foreign yet exhilarating. As he surrendered to the calming rhythm of the meditation, a sense of release washed over him, akin to a gentle tide receding from the shore. The dark clouds of despair that had loomed over him began to dissipate, replaced by a glimmer of tranquility. Yet, as he drifted deeper into this newfound peace, a nagging question lingered in his mind: what challenges does he still need to confront? As John delved deeper into meditation, a profound transformation began to take shape within him. The fog that once clouded his mind started to lift, revealing a newfound clarity that he had long forgotten. Each session became a sanctuary, a space for emotional healing, where he confronted the shadows of his past and embraced the light of possibility. With every deep breath, he felt the weight of his regret slowly dissipating, replaced by a sense of perspective he'd never thought possible. Memories of laughter, friendship, and warmth flooded back, intertwining with the stark reality of his isolation. Through meditation, John wasn't just finding peace, he was learning to face the truth of his situation. He began to understand the importance of reconnecting with those he had lost, questioning if they would even recognize the man he was becoming. As he emerged from the depths of his inner turmoil, a lingering question haunted him: will his friends welcome him back? John sat alone in his dimly lit apartment, the weight of isolation pressing down on him. The digital ID had stripped away his social life, leaving only shadows of what once was. Determined to change his fate, he opened his contacts list, his heart racing with uncertainty. With shaky fingers, he began to reach out to his old friends. Apologies flowed like a river, sincere and raw. He spoke of the darkness that had consumed him, and the need for forgiveness. Each message sent was a small step toward rebuilding trust. To his surprise, responses trickled back. Some friends were willing to reconnect. They shared laughter and memories that felt like distant echoes of a happier time. Yet, John knew that healing was a two-way street, and he must face the reality of his mistakes head-on. With each conversation, he felt a flicker of hope reignite within him. But as he stepped into this new chapter, a question loomed large: how will he handle setbacks in his career? John stood in front of the computer, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Job hunting had become a relentless cycle of applications and rejections, each notification weighing heavier than the last. He felt invisible, the digital ID that once promised convenience now a constant reminder of his limitations. Despite the setbacks, a spark ignited within him. Meditation had taught him resilience, helping to quiet the nagging voice of despair. With renewed determination, he tailored his resume to highlight his strengths, crafting cover letters that told his story. Each rejection stung, but with every no, he learned to adapt, to evolve. John began to network, reaching out to former colleagues and tapping into online communities. They shared job leads, offered advice, and reignited his hope. Slowly, opportunities began to emerge, and John felt the weight of isolation lift. The journey back to the workforce was fraught with challenges, but he was learning that facing reality was the first step toward healing. What role will community play in John's healing? As John navigated the shadows of his new reality, he discovered the transformative power of community. Joining local support groups became his lifeline, a sanctuary where he could share his struggles and fears. Each meeting was a tapestry woven with the threads of shared experiences. Members spoke candidly about their lives, their losses, and their gradual awakenings from the stupor of digital compliance. Through these connections, John learned he was not alone, others were fighting the same silent battle. The stories exchanged resonated deeply within him, igniting a spark of hope. With every shared laugh and tear, he felt burdens lighten, revealing glimpses of who he once was. Building these connections fostered a sense of belonging that had long eluded him, reinforcing the idea that unity breeds strength. As John embraced this newfound support, the question lingered: what new outlook will John have on life? John stood at the precipice of a new beginning, grappling with the shadows of his past. The digital ID had stripped him of so much: his job, his friends, and the love of his family. In the quiet moments of solitude, he began to understand that change was an inevitable part of life, a constant force shaping his reality. As he delved into meditation, he discovered a profound sense of personal growth, learning to embrace the lessons hidden within his struggles. Each session peeled away layers of regret, revealing his resilience. He reflected on the choices he had made, acknowledging the allure of complacency that had led him astray. With every breath, John felt a flicker of hope ignite within him, a reminder that facing reality, no matter how daunting, was the first step towards reclaiming his identity. He realized that by accepting change, he could navigate the turbulence of life with renewed strength. How will these reflections guide him moving forward? John sat on the edge of his bed, the weight of his past pressing heavily on his shoulders. The memories of struggles, lost friendships, the the dimming light of his career, and the fading warmth of family gatherings, swirled in his mind like autumn leaves caught in a gust. He had once been vibrant, full of dreams, but the insidious grip of the digital ID had slowly siphoned away his essence. Yet here he was, embracing the journey of resilience. Each hardship was a lesson, each setback a stepping stone. He realized that celebrating progress, no matter how small, was crucial. John learned to acknowledge his scars, not as burdens, but as badges of survival. He understood now that true strength lay not just in overcoming challenges, but in the willingness to care for oneself amidst adversity. As he reflected on the transformation that sparked within him, he couldn't help but wonder, how could his story inspire others facing similar battles? As John emerged from the shadows of his past, a newfound strength surged within him. No longer shackled by the oppressive weight of his digital identity, he recognized the urgency to share his experience. Standing before a small crowd, he began to speak, his voice steady yet passionate. I was lost in the depths of despair, a victim of a system that demanded compliance over individuality, he declared, his eyes scanning faces filled with understanding. With each word, he transformed his pain into power, advocating for mental health awareness and the dangers of blind acceptance. He started a blog, pouring his heart into every post, illuminating the path for others ensnared in the same darkness. His story resonated widely, igniting discussions across social platforms. John became a beacon of hope, urging others to reclaim their narratives. Yet, even amidst this resurgence, he pondered the question that loomed over him: what daily practices will support his well-being? His journey had just begun, and the answers awaited discovery. As John navigated his transformation from a life overshadowed by the oppressive grip of digital identity, he discovered the profound strength that lay within him. Embracing ongoing meditation became his sanctuary, each session a refuge where he could reconnect with his thoughts and emotions, grounding him amidst chaos. He understood that cultivating a healthy lifestyle was not merely about physical health but also about nurturing his mental resilience. Regular exercise infused him with energy and clarity, allowing him to face daily challenges with renewed vigor. Moreover, John made it a point to engage in self-reflection, dedicating moments each week to ponder his experiences and emotions. This practice opened pathways to self-awareness, revealing a deeper understanding of his desires and aspirations. With each step, John's resolve solidified, propelling him forward on a journey of healing and growth. However, as he stood at the crossroads of his newfound life, one question lingered in the air: what future aspirations will John pursue? As John's transformation began, he found himself standing at the precipice of despair, yet within that darkness, a flicker of hope ignited. This newfound strength surged through him like a current, propelling him to confront the bleak realities surrounding the digital ID that had ensnared him. With each small victory, whether it was reconnecting with a distant friend or rediscovering a long-lost passion, he learned the power of positive thinking. John understood now that hope was not merely a feeling, it was a choice, a proactive stance against the encroaching shadows. Setting future goals became his lifeline, guiding him toward a horizon where freedom and authenticity reigned. He envisioned a world where he could reclaim his narrative, where sleep would no longer be an escape but a sanctuary of rejuvenation. This journey of recovery wasn't just about survival, it was about thriving. With each passing day, John pondered a crucial question that loomed over his transformation: how will John's new identity influence his actions? As John stood at the crossroads of his new life, he realized that transformation was not merely about survival but about embracing his authenticity. No longer shackled by the suffocating digital ID that had once dictated his every move, he began to redefine success and happiness on his terms. He discovered that true strength lay not in compliance, but in resilience, as he learned to live beyond the constraints imposed by a system that thrived on conformity. With each day, John took deliberate steps to align his life with his values, becoming a beacon for others who felt lost in the shadows of oppression. By sharing his story, he inspired a movement of change agents who dared to question the status quo. They began to gather, united in their pursuit of genuine freedom and self-expression. Yet, as they navigated this uncharted territory, one crucial question remained: what actions can others take to reclaim their freedom? As John's journey unfolded, he became a beacon for those around him, sparking a collective awakening. Friends who once dismissed his concerns began to question the implications of the digital ID that had quietly seeped into their lives. Community gatherings sprouted in living rooms, coffee shops, and parks, where whispers of resistance transformed into passionate discussions about freedom and autonomy. John, once a solitary figure, became the catalyst for a movement, as more individuals joined him in uncovering the truth behind the government's intentions. They shared stories of lost jobs, friendships strained by fear, and families torn apart by compliance. With each voice added to the chorus, the community's resolve strengthened, igniting a fire of resilience that spread like wildfire. Together, they began mobilizing campaigns to raise awareness, distributing pamphlets, and hosting workshops. They refused to be silenced, believing that through unity, they could reclaim their rights. But this raised a critical question: what role will community play in shaping the future? As John navigated the aftermath of his harrowing journey, a significant societal shift began to unfold. People were awakening to the realization that the digital ID imposed on them was more than just a convenience, it was a tool of control. Conversations about mental health surged, igniting a collective consciousness that emphasized well-being over compliance. Support systems emerged in the form of community groups, online forums, and advocacy networks, where individuals shared their experiences and rallied against the oppressive system. Public discourse transformed, with discussions on autonomy and freedom becoming commonplace. No longer isolated, individuals began to see the power of togetherness, realizing that their shared struggles could be the catalyst for change. As they united, they recognized a profound truth: resilience lies in community. Yet, the question lingered in the air like a whisper among them: how can collective voices create change? This inquiry would become the heart of their movement, a beacon guiding them through the darkness. As John's world unraveled under the oppressive weight of the digital ID, communities began to rise in defiance. Grassroots movements sprouted like wildflowers through the cracks of a crumbling society. Neighbors united, sharing stories of their struggles and forming coalitions aimed at challenging the government's intrusive policies. They organized rallies, where voices echoed in unison, demanding an end to the digital surveillance that threatened their autonomy. Legal actions were initiated, with citizens banding together to challenge the legitimacy of the digital ID system in court. They understood that change wouldn't come easily, but their resilience fueled their determination. The collective awareness of the dangers posed by the digital ID ignited a fire in the hearts of many, proving that even in the darkest times, hope could be a powerful weapon. As the movement gained momentum, the question lingered in the air: what steps must be taken to ensure lasting change? As the digital ID system tightened its grip on society, John's journey became a reflection of a larger struggle for autonomy. The implications of his transformation resonated beyond his personal losses; they illuminated a collective awakening. Communities began to stir, realizing the power of their voices in reclaiming their rights. People gathered in small groups, sharing stories of resistance, igniting a flame of empowerment that spread like wildfire. Vigilance became the mantra, as citizens recognized that complacency was the enemy of freedom. They rallied for transparency, demanding accountability from those in power. The once muted conversations about privacy rights surged to the forefront. John, now a symbol of resilience, inspired others to question the status quo. The awakening was palpable. Together, they envisioned a future where reform was not just a dream but a tangible reality. The question loomed large: what will be the lasting message of this journey? Will it be one of despair, or will it ignite a movement towards true liberation? As John's story rippled through society, it sparked a profound awakening among the populace. People began to recognize the implications of digital IDs, understanding that this was not merely a personal issue, but a societal one. Future generations, inspired by John's resilience, started to question the status quo, rallying together to form communities dedicated to awareness and advocacy. They learned that true freedom was not just a relic of the past but a goal worth fighting for. John became a symbol of hope, his struggles teaching valuable lessons about vigilance, responsibility, and the importance of safeguarding one's autonomy. As they shared his story, they ignited a culture of critical thinking and empowerment, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. This collective awakening emphasized the strength found in unity, as citizens stood together against oppressive measures. In the face of adversity, they sought solace not just in sleep but in the security of their shared resolve. What practices can enhance sleep quality? In the chaos of a digital world, sleep can often feel like a luxury rather than a necessity. However, scientists have discovered that sleep is a restorative process, essential for both mental and physical health. Healthy sleep patterns allow the body to heal, rejuvenating the mind and enhancing cognitive functions. In contrast, unhealthy sleep habits, marked by irregular hours or excessive screen time, can lead to anxiety, stress, and a disconnection from reality. This disconnection is particularly evident in a society that prioritizes productivity over well-being. Sleep hygiene, which includes practices like maintaining a consistent sleep schedule and creating a restful environment, plays a crucial role in ensuring quality rest. By cultivating these habits, individuals can transform their nights into a sanctuary of restoration rather than an escape from their struggles. As we navigate the challenges of a fast-paced world, the question arises, how can mindfulness improve sleep quality? This inquiry leads us deeper into understanding the vital connection between awareness and restful slumber. As John lay awake in the dim light of his room, he realized that true peace could only be found through mindful sleep. The research shows that incorporating mindfulness into sleep routines is essential for rejuvenation. Mindful breathing techniques can help quiet the mind, allowing one to release the day's stress and anxiety. John began to focus on his breath, inhaling slowly through his nose and exhaling gently through his mouth. This simple practice can create a peaceful mindset before sleep, transforming the act of resting into a rejuvenating experience rather than an escape. Scientists have discovered that letting go of stress is crucial. It paves the way for deeper, more restorative slumber. As John embraced this mindful approach, he felt the tension in his body dissolve. The notion of sleep morphed from a mere necessity into a sanctuary of tranquility. Yet, he pondered a pressing question: what changes can John make to his sleep environment? In the heart of a world overshadowed by uncertainty, John began to understand the importance of a sleep-friendly environment. Research shows that a well-organized bedroom can significantly enhance the quality of sleep. Optimal setup includes a comfortable mattress and supportive pillows that contour to the body, promoting relaxation. Additionally, reducing light and noise is crucial. Blackout curtains can shield against disruptive streetlights, while white noise machines might mask the sounds of the bustling city outside. Scientists have discovered that the ideal temperature for sleep hovers around 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, facilitating a deeper rest. Thus, John found himself gradually transforming his bedroom into a sanctuary, free from distractions and conducive to tranquility. As he embraced these changes, he felt a sense of rejuvenation wash over him, a stark contrast to his past escapism. Yet, amid this newfound clarity, he pondered, what rituals will help John prepare for sleep? As darkness enveloped the city, John found solace in the gentle embrace of night. To establish a calming bedtime routine, he began by dimming the lights, creating a serene atmosphere that whispered promises of rest. He chose to limit his screen time, understanding how the blue light from devices disrupted his natural rhythm. In place of his usual distractions, he turned to the soft sound of a crackling fireplace, the soothing whispers of nature, and the melodic chimes of distant wind. To further enhance this tranquil space, John introduced aromatherapy, filling the air with calming lavender and chamomile scents that danced around him like a protective cloak. Each ritual wove together the fabric of his evening, gradually transforming his perception of sleep from a mere escape to a rejuvenating sanctuary. With each breath, he felt the burdens of the day melt away, leading him deeper into a world of peaceful slumber. How will these practices change John's perception of sleep? In the wake of a world where sleep had become a mere escape from the harsh realities of life, John began to understand the true necessity of restful sleep. It was not a luxury, but a vital lifeline to rejuvenation and clarity. Studies indicate that restorative sleep fosters creativity and improves cognitive function, which John had neglected for far too long. Each night, as he lay awake, haunted by the decisions he had made, he realized that sleep held the key to reclaiming his life. By prioritizing sleep, he could regain control over his thoughts and emotions. Guided meditations, designed to soothe the mind and prepare the body for restful slumber, became a nightly ritual. With each session, he felt the burdens of the day dissolve, paving the way for a more peaceful mind. As he embraced this new approach, John pondered the transformative power of sleep. What new habits will John adopt? As John navigated his new reality, the digital ID felt like a double-edged sword. Initially, it promised convenience and a streamlined life, but he soon discovered it was a shackle rather than a key. His days began to blur, filled with digital tasks that left him feeling less human and more like a cog in a machine. Yet, amidst the numbing routine, John found sparks of resilience. He started to live authentically, making conscious choices to reclaim his identity. At community gatherings, he shared stories, encouraging others to question their own digital chains. John realized that in this transformed society, growth came from learning to adapt, to innovate, and to resist complacency. Each small action became a ripple of hope, a testament to the power of collective resilience. As he pondered the weight of his choices, he felt the urge to take a stand. But how can viewers become advocates for change? As John navigated the tumultuous waters of his new reality, he found himself emerging as a beacon of hope for those around him. His journey was not just a personal battle, it became a collective awakening. Through mentoring others, John shared his insights, showing how resilience in the face of adversity could ignite a community spirit. He organized gatherings where conversations about mental health flourished, creating a safe space for vulnerability. These discussions sparked a fire within his peers, encouraging them to confront their fears and seek support. Together, they built robust community systems, proving that strength lies in unity. John's story resonated with many, inspiring them to reclaim their narratives from the clutches of despair. Each step he took encouraged others to rise, fostering a culture of resilience that rippled through the community. They began to understand the crucial role they played in shaping their future. What steps can individuals take to contribute to societal change? In the heart of a bustling community, John felt a renewed sense of hope. As he looked around, he saw others who shared his vision for a better society, one where mental health was prioritized. Advocacy for mental health resources became a rallying cry. John joined local groups, passionately participating in discussions that aimed to reshape policies. Together, they organized workshops and community forums, inviting mental health professionals to share their expertise. They understood that change began with proactive action. Each small step, from hosting events to writing letters to local representatives, strengthened their resolve. As John witnessed the growing movement, a spark ignited within him. The determination to create a legacy of compassion and understanding fueled their efforts. They envisioned a future where mental well-being was not just an afterthought but a fundamental right. As the community united, the question loomed larger: what legacy do we want to leave for future generations? As John gazed out over the city skyline, a flicker of hope ignited within him. The streets below, once filled with despair, now thrummed with newfound energy. Communities began to gather, united by a shared desire to reclaim their rights and foster a culture of resilience. Conversations flowed like a river, as friends and strangers alike engaged in open discussions about their dreams and aspirations. They envisioned a world where technology served humanity, not enslaved it. Each dialogue was a thread woven into a tapestry of empowerment, reminding them that their voices mattered. In coffee shops, parks, and town halls, they strategized and formed alliances, determined to safeguard their freedoms against the encroaching digital shadows. John felt invigorated. He was not alone in this fight. With every step taken towards reclaiming agency, he realized that the power of community could spark a revolution. But as he stood at this crossroads, a question lingered in the air: what will John's next chapter look like? In the wake of the digital transformation, John found himself standing on the precipice of a new life. Society, once vibrant and full of opportunity, now seemed to pulse with uncertainty. Yet, amid the chaos, John held on to hope, the beacon illuminating his path forward. Lifelong learning became his mantra. He embraced every chance to adapt to the rapid changes around him. He understood that growth was not a destination but a continuous journey. Each small victory, whether it was mastering a new skill or connecting with a stranger, fueled his resilience. John's determination inspired those around him, reminding them of the power of perseverance in the face of adversity. As he navigated this new landscape, he recognized that every setback held a lesson, every challenge an opportunity for growth. And so, he pressed on, embodying the spirit of resilience that could lift not just himself, but an entire community. What insights can you draw from John's journey? In a world where digital IDs dictate every aspect of life, it's crucial to pause and reflect on our individual journeys. Each person faces unique challenges, be it in personal relationships, career aspirations, or mental well-being. Recognizing these struggles can illuminate paths to growth. For instance, a job loss might feel catastrophic, yet it could lead to new opportunities for self-discovery and reinvention. Self-reflection acts as a mirror, encouraging individuals to examine their choices and motivations. It asks tough questions: are you living authentically? Are your actions aligned with your values? Engaging in community discussions can further enhance this journey, as shared experiences foster connection and understanding. By taking an active role in your life and the lives of others, you can ignite change not just for yourself, but for those around you. This unity can be powerful in challenging the status quo. So, let's delve deeper into this question: what impact can your involvement have? In a world increasingly defined by digital identities, the importance of local action cannot be overstated. Community involvement serves as a powerful antidote to the isolating effects of modern life. Joining local groups that focus on mental health advocacy can create a ripple effect, bringing awareness to the resources available and fostering a supportive environment. By participating in these groups, individuals can not only share their experiences but also learn from others, building resilience together. Creating support networks within your community is essential, as it allows for open discussions about mental well-being, ensuring no one feels alone in their struggles. These networks can offer emotional support and practical resources, empowering each member to take charge of their mental health. Together, communities can challenge the status quo and advocate for better mental health resources, ensuring that everyone has access to the help they need. As we consider these actions, we must ask ourselves, how can resilience empower you in difficult times? In a world where digital IDs dictate every move, resilience becomes paramount. The research shows that mindfulness practices can help individuals regain control over their lives. Simple techniques, like deep breathing and meditation, empower people to center themselves amidst chaos. Setting realistic goals is equally essential. By breaking larger objectives into manageable steps, individuals can celebrate small victories, reinforcing their self-worth. Studies indicate that acknowledging achievements, no matter how minor, fosters a sense of purpose and accomplishment, creating a powerful feedback loop of motivation. As communities come together to support one another, they cultivate an environment where mental well-being thrives. This collective empowerment not only helps individuals navigate their struggles but also ignites a shift in societal attitudes towards mental health. Together, they can challenge the narratives that confine them, paving the way for a brighter future. So, how can we change the narrative around mental health? In a world increasingly dominated by digital identities and intrusive surveillance, the importance of mental health and community becomes paramount. The research shows that open conversations about mental well-being can significantly reduce the stigma surrounding mental health issues. Scientists have discovered that when individuals feel supported by their community, they are more likely to seek help and share their experiences. Imagine a space where people uplift one another, fostering an environment of trust and understanding. This can be achieved by hosting regular community dialogues, sharing personal stories, and encouraging collective resilience. By promoting mental health awareness, communities can create networks of support that empower each person to prioritize their well-being. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, let's remember that we are not alone in our struggles. Together, we can build a future where mental health is valued and nurtured. So, consider this: what will you commit to today to support yourself and those around you? In a world where digital IDs have become the norm, many have unwittingly surrendered their autonomy. However, the path to reclaiming one's life begins with a single step. Identifying the first action to take is crucial. It could be as simple as setting aside time each day for self-reflection or committing to a hobby that brings joy. Setting intentions for change ignites a spark within, allowing individuals to envision a life beyond the confines of their digital constraints. Embracing the journey ahead means acknowledging the challenges but also celebrating the small victories that lead to liberation. Community involvement can amplify this journey. Sharing experiences with others fosters connection and support. Together, they can navigate the murky waters of this new reality, reinforcing the belief that change is possible. So, as we embark on this quest toward self-discovery and mental well-being, consider this vital question: how will you prioritize self-care moving forward? In a world increasingly dominated by technology, understanding self-care becomes vital for mental and physical well-being. Research indicates that self-care is not merely a luxury but a necessity, particularly as life becomes more demanding. Creating personalized self-care routines can empower individuals to take control of their health. This might include setting aside time for nourishing meals, engaging in exercise that brings joy, or simply taking moments to breathe deeply amidst the chaos. Importantly, sleep must be integrated into these routines as it is essential for rejuvenation. Studies show that quality sleep enhances cognitive function and emotional resilience, reinforcing our ability to face daily challenges. By prioritizing restful practices, individuals can cultivate a sanctuary of peace within themselves, a critical foundation for navigating life's complexities. This journey towards self-care is not just about survival, it's about thriving in a world that often pushes us to our limits. So, as you reflect on your own life, consider this: what new practices will you adopt for better sleep? In a world increasingly dominated by chaos, the importance of sleep and self-care cannot be overstated. Studies have shown that cultivating daily habits, such as maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, can significantly enhance the quality of our rest. Simple practices like mindful breathing, where one focuses on the rhythm of their breath, can ground the mind and prepare it for a peaceful slumber. Furthermore, incorporating gratitude into our nightly routine, reflecting on moments that brought joy or comfort, can shift our mindset to one of positivity, promoting deeper relaxation. As the body unwinds, the mind releases the burdens of the day, allowing for restorative sleep. It's within this serene space that one can truly rejuvenate, fostering resilience against the noise of the outside world. As we explore the depths of tranquility, one must ponder: what does peace mean to you? In the relentless pursuit of progress, many overlook the profound strength found in sleep. Scientists have discovered that sleep is not merely a respite but a vital component of rejuvenation. It acts as a reset button for both our bodies and minds, allowing us to recover from the chaos of daily life. Research indicates a strong connection between sleep and mental health. Inadequate rest can lead to anxiety, depression, and cognitive decline. Embracing sleep as a necessity rather than a luxury can transform our lives. It is during these quiet hours that our minds can wander freely, processing emotions and experiences, paving the way for clarity and creativity. In a world that often glorifies busyness, it's essential to recognize that true strength lies in stillness. As we navigate this complex digital landscape, we must ask ourselves: how will you embrace your journey ahead? As the chaos of modern life swirled around him, he began to understand that finding tranquility in sleep was not merely an escape, but a vital journey towards self-care and renewal. The fatigue of daily grind had clouded his vision, yet in the depths of sleep, he discovered an oasis of clarity. Experts suggest that restful practices can rejuvenate not just the mind, but the very essence of one's being. Each night became a canvas for introspection, where dreams painted paths of possibility. He realized that true peace transcended the mere act of sleeping. It was about embracing a lifestyle rooted in balance, mindfulness, and continuous learning. With this awakening, he prepared to navigate the complexities of tomorrow, hopeful for a future where rest would not be a luxury, but a fundamental necessity. As he took a deep breath, he pondered: what steps will you take towards a more peaceful life? As John emerged from the shadows of his former life, he began to understand the true value of sleep, not merely as an escape, but as a sanctuary for the soul. The relentless grip of the digital identity had stripped away his connections, his job, and even the warmth of his family. But in the stillness of night, he found a flicker of resilience within himself. Embracing the darkness, he learned to cultivate moments of peace, where dreams could flourish unshackled by the harsh realities of a controlling regime. This journey, fraught with loss, also illuminated the path to recovery. By prioritizing self-care and restful practices, John rediscovered the joy of simply being.